Tarad.
Para. New Para.
There are some new concerns out of Russia this morning as well. A nuclear-capable Russian submarine said to carry a one-of-its-kind nuclear device has left its base near the Arctic Circle. And Nick Smith is here with us now to explain what's at stake. Nick.
Adrian, state officials continue to follow this story. An Italian newspaper says it got its hands on a NATO warning about the Belgorod. That's the submarine. Now, according to that note, NATO officials are worried Russia could be testing out a torpedo capable of carrying nuclear weapons. Russian officials say the sub has the ability to create a 1,600-foot nuclear tsunami that could drown coastal cities. Right now, there is no indication Russia is preparing for an explosive nuclear test. But according to that leaked NATO memo and analysis, Russia is most likely testing a torpedo that uses nuclear power. U.S. officials continue to warn Vladimir Putin and Russia of catastrophic consequences if it resorts to nuclear warfare. Last night, on the debut of Cuomo, former National Security Advisor John Bolton offered another way of deterrence.
What could you do other than an exchange of nuclear weapons, which nobody would want?
Well, I think we should say publicly that if Putin did authorize the use of a nuclear weapon, he would be signing his own suicide note. And I think that needs to be clear publicly so that everybody in the Russian military, intelligence, domestic security conglomerate knows how much is at risk here.
Russia's war in Ukraine and recent escalations have Americans stressed. This morning, our exclusive Decision Desk News Nation polling shows 39% of Americans think Russia is our biggest threat, followed by China and Iran. This morning, the Kremlin says it does not take part in Western nuclear rhetoric in response to a British report about an alleged nuclear weapons test on Ukraine's border. It's also important to stress that U.S. officials are monitoring the situation and say they have not seen Russia prepare any of its forces for a nuclear strike. Adrian?
All right, Nick, thank you very much for the update.
The most brilliant commander in the Soviet Navy.
Ramey has trained most of their officer corps. He's nearly a legend in the submarine community.
The most deadly submarine ever built.
This thing could park a couple of hundred warheads off Washington. Nobody'd know a thing about it until it was all over.
Once more, we play our dangerous game with our old adversaries, the American Navy.
His plan is a mystery.
A man with your responsibilities reading about the end of the world.
Apparently, he has suffered a kind of nervous breakdown in which he announced his intention to fire his missiles on the United States.
We want us to help you hunt him down, kill him.
Open the outer doors, firing point procedures.
We sail into history.
I'm going to blow him right to Mars.
Ramius might be trying to defect.
You're just an analyst. What can you possibly know what goes on in his mind?
I'll give you 3 days to prove your theory correct.
I am not field personnel. I am only an analyst.
You're perfect.
I'm expendable. He's defecting.
You willing to bet your life on that?
From the best-selling novel by Tom Clancy. From the director of Die Hard.
Give this man a chance.
My orders are specific. Battle stations.
Sean Connery, Alec Baldwin, James Earl Jones, Scott Glenn, Sam Neill. The Hunt for Red October.
So there's been a nuclear attack. Don't ask me how or why, just know that the big one has hit, okay? So what do? There are 3 important steps that I want you to remember. Step 1, get inside fast. You, your friends, your family, get inside. And no, staying in the car is not an option. You need to get into a building and move away from the windows. Step 2, stay inside. Shut all doors and windows. Have a basement? Head there. If you don't have one, get as far into the middle of the building as possible. If you were outside after the blast, get clean immediately. Remove and bag all outer clothing to keep radioactive dust or ash away from your body. Step 3, stay tuned. Follow media for more information. Don't forget to sign up for Notify NYC for official alerts and updates. And don't go outside until officials say it's safe. All right, you've got this.
Prepared are you for a nuclear war scenario? Or are you even concerned about one ever happening? Well, New York City's emergency management thinks people should be prepared and ready now, just in case a threat becomes a reality. Now, back in our March News Nation poll, more than 80% of respondents say they had at least some level of concern about a nuclear attack in the next decade. And News Nation's Paul Gerke joins us live now from New York City. So, Paul, even with the poll results, this PSA still seems like it came out of left field for a lot of New Yorkers.
It really did, Nicole. I mean, we're all aware of what's going on between Russia and Ukraine, and we're generally concerned with the existential nuclear threats that exist elsewhere in the world. But I don't think very many of us take the time to actually consider what we would do if we were lucky enough, or I guess unlucky enough, to survive such an event. And then this PSA hit the airwaves.
So there's been a nuclear attack. Don't ask me how or why, just know that the big one has hit.
Do not be alarmed. This is just a public service announcement, albeit a terrifying one. New York City Emergency Management released a 90-second PSA Monday with instructions on what to do in the event of a nuclear attack. It outlines 3 steps.
Step 1, Get inside fast. Step 2, stay inside. Step 3, stay tuned.
The PSA also recommends you get to the interior of a building and get clean immediately if you were outside during the theoretical nuclear blast.
Remove and bag all outer clothing to keep radioactive dust or ash away from your body.
It strikes a more serious tone than relics of our preparedness past.
There was a turtle by the name of Bert.
Like this civil defense film from 1951, when Cold War concerns of nuclear warfare were front of mind for many Americans. So why now? NewsNation reached out to NYC Emergency Management, which couldn't offer someone to speak on camera, but replied with a statement which read in part, "The likelihood of a nuclear weapon incident occurring in or near New York City is very low. However, it's important New Yorkers know the steps to stay safe." It continued, "There is no direct threat to the city, but we felt it was important that we address this topic."
All right, you've got this.
Do we got this? I don't really know, Nicole. Another question I had is whether those tips presented in the PSA are actually sound scientific advice. So I had a great conversation today with Alex Wellerstein. He's a professor at the Stevens Institute and a historian on nuclear weapons. He said that research is rock solid. It's based on years of research done at national labs and the EPA. He says the idea here is to give the general public the minimum amount of information that they need to know to avoid what they call unnecessary casualties. It also makes efforts much easier for first responders if they know to try to find everybody indoors, for example, Nicole.
Yeah, and I guess, knowledge is power, but again, no direct threat here, according to emergency management. All right.
Chapter 5. But of the times and the seasons, brethren, ye have no need that I write unto you. For yourselves know perfectly that the day of the Lord so cometh as a thief in the night. For when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them, as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. But ye, brethren, are not in darkness, that that day should overtake you as a thief. But ye, brethren, are not in darkness, that that day should overtake you as a thief. Yourselves know perfectly that the day of the Lord so cometh as a thief in the night. As a thief in the night. As a thief in the night. For when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them, as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. As travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. For when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them, as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. As travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. For when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them. And I saw when the Lamb opened one of the seals, and I heard, as it were the noise of thunder, one of the four beasts saying, Come and see. And I saw, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat on him had a bow, and a crown was given unto him, and he went forth conquering and to conquer. And when he had opened the second seal, I heard the second beast say, Come and see. And there went out another horse that was red, and power was given to him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth, and that they should kill one another. And there was given unto him a great sword. And when he had opened the third seal, I heard the third beast say, Come and see. And I beheld, and lo, a black horse, and he that sat on him had a pair of balances in his hand. And I heard a voice in the midst of the four beasts say, A measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny, and see thou hurt not the oil and the wine. And when he had opened the fourth seal, I heard the voice of the fourth beast say, Come and see. And I looked, and behold, a pale horse, and his name that sat on him was Death, and hell followed with him. And power was given unto them over the fourth part of the earth to kill with sword, and with hunger, and with death, and with the beasts of the earth. Like as a woman with child that draweth near the time of her delivery is in pain and crieth out in her pangs, so have we been in thy sight, O Lord. We have been with child. We have been in pain. We have, as it were, brought forth wind. We have not wrought any deliverance in the earth, neither have the inhabitants of the world fallen. Thy dead men shall live. Together with my dead body shall they arise. Awake and sing, ye that dwell in dust. For thy dew is as the dew of herbs, and the earth shall cast out the dead. Come, my people, enter thou into thy chambers, and shut thy doors about thee. Hide thyself, as it were, for a little moment, until the indignation be overpast. For behold, the Lord cometh out of his place to punish the inhabitants of the earth for their iniquity. The earth also shall disclose her blood, and shall no more cover her slain.